Hello everybody, how's everybody doing out there? All you music lovers and vinyl collectors out there in Vlogland, YouTube. Well, welcome to another video finds of mine. I think this is 17 or 18. So we begin where we left off with Dr. Buzzard's original Savannah band in the last video when my camera memory card ran out suddenly. Yeah, this band, all three of their records here are kind of a disco pop with an old retro feel, kind of an older music feel to them. So very creative. I really like it for a change. Kind of a different twist on the typical disco we're used to hearing. Here's Dr. Hook. Of course, these are all from ones I was missing. I recently acquired a collection from my friend, and these are the ones I will be keeping as they were missing from my own collection. And the ones that I do have already from his collection, I'll be trading those for others. Yeah, that Dr. Hook, they were very popular in the 70s. You don't hear them much anymore on radio, but they had loads of hits. These are all the hits here. Yeah, Sylvia's Mother was a big hit. The cover of the Rolling Stone was a great novelty spoof song. Only 16, a little bit more. One there that wasn't necessarily, Walk Right In, Sharing the Night Together, When You're in Love with a Beautiful Woman, Better Love Next Time, Sexy Eyes, and Years From Now, I Don't Remember. So if you're wanting to get into good music that you're, you know, a little bit different, I think these were kind of a more on the mellow pop side generally. Thomas Dolby, he had She Blinded Me with Science, and this here is an EP of his. I think his first album in '83 was The Golden Age of Wireless. It was his best album. More of a pop. It was all synth, you know, new wave synth. Really great songs on there. Highly recommended. And then his second album was a little bit more subdued pop synth and a little bit of acoustic in there with mellow jazz. And the title of that album was Flat Earth, The Flat Earth. Okay, this was a label that I was missing. This is the domestic press of Duran's first album, I think. The one that I had found years ago just ended up being a UK press, so now I've got the two presses. I'll always usually, if I like the album enough, I will, you know, hold on to the two different presses. I just can't let some records just sit in the racks. This is a great album, all the way through. Highly recommended. A classic by ELO from '77. Just loaded with great songs and a bunch of radio hits. Turn to Stone, let's see, what else? Mr. Blue Sky, Sweet Talkin' Woman, I think, was another big one. I think the actual first song, it wasn't that big on AM radio, just FM, and it was one of those FM stations late night, and they were playing just odd cuts off this brand new album at the time, and they played The Whale, all instrumental. Really wild new sound back then to my ears. Really cool synth and the sound of whales. Yeah, very, very neat. An early Peter Frampton from about '74, I believe. Peter Gabriel. This one has Games Without Frontiers. Yeah, Games Without Frontiers. And Biko, another big radio hit for him. I'm still missing his album with Shock the Monkey on it. And then my friend wasn't into the Peter Gabriel years of Genesis. He was more into the pop-oriented side when Phil Collins stepped in '76 or '75. and Peter Gabriel exited in 75, I believe, after The Lamb Lies Down. But the threesome there with Phil Collins in there produced about 3 or 4 albums that were just superb. This is a classic. I love this. Yeah, my friend couldn't get into this. He hated it. But this is a later reissue. I've got the original Charisma. That's an Atlantic pressing. Another classic here on a different label I was missing, although I've got all of Genesis. These were just different pressings. I think this is a reissue, but it's very clean. So, you know, hardly ever played according to the way they look. And here was another classic, and then there were 3. Yeah, Wind and Wuthering, Trick of the Tail, and then there were 3. All 3 sound a little similar, and they're just, you know, dabbling in a little bit of pop, but the songs are generally more complex, well laid out, very melodic, just incredible. When I discovered Genesis's older sound that they had never played on radio, basically, until 78 when Follow You, Follow Me hit the airwaves. And I was just blown away by their old catalog, and I was listening to each of their albums for probably 3 years constantly, and I still never get tired of them. That's how good they are. I think I would rank Genesis in my top 10 of all time prog groups. Genesis right up there with Yes. Very talented guys. And I love Tony Banks's keyboard. Superb drumming by Phil Collins. Excellent bass by Mike Rutherford. And, yeah. These aren't bad. These had a lot of radio hits. It's just that I'm not into the, you know, the 1979 forward sound as much as the superb, complex, progressive. I was actually missing this one. This is not a bad album either. Really fun hearing the crowd, and yeah. Won't waste too much time. I got so much to zip through here. Another great album. Mama and Home by the Sea were the standouts on this album for me personally. Yeah, my friend, he took superb care of his collection here, and always had them, you know, in these poly sleeves, so they're like new, just minus the shrink. He was worried about them warping over time if he kept the shrink on. And then you remember a 10cc, well, Godley and Cream here. They duo here on this album, the History Mix Volume 1. They had their big hit on MTV, Cry, great video, with the facial transformation of all these people metamorphosing one after another with different expressions on their face. Yeah, great song. Ian Gom, 79, he had a big hit, Hold On. This is his follow-up album from 80 or 81, I think, so curious to see what this sounds like. I haven't even had time to hear them all yet, so I got a lot of listening to do. Here's a classic I was surprisingly missing. Yeah, Arlo Guthrie, Alice's Restaurant. One long live song here with audience interaction, kind of humorous, you know, folky. Fun listen. Classic. A different cover I was missing of the 2 variations of Hall & Oates' voices. They're in slightly different areas of the, you know, location of the cover and different poses. Slightly altered facial expressions, kind of like you know, the Police did, and Led Zeppelin, and so many other groups with their album covers. Like the Beatles, I had held off on George Harrison, thinking, well, you know, it's so plentiful, I'll just put these on the back burner and get the rare stuff first. But yeah, I finally got George Harrison here. Great album. I love all his albums. Love all his work. I love all the Beatles, you know, when they went solo, individually. I like all their output. Very talented guys. George Harrison's Extra Texture. It's got that nice that textured cover with a die cut. Very cool. And I also got his yeah, I forgot it. It's upstairs. I will show it in the next installment. It's his All Things Must Pass 3 LP box set. That is a 10. I was blown away and wondered why I hadn't discovered or at least checked it out earlier. Fantastic. His best, you know, the best thing he ever put out musically, I think. These are, of course, more hit and miss, but still good, still worth owning if you like his style. And another one here, beautiful condition. And Somewhere in England. And from Australia, Icehouse. This was, for my personal taste, just a little bit weaker than all the rest of their albums that followed from 83 onward. That's 82, I think. The Innocents. Somehow this slipped by me. Good listen here. Good group. Enjoyed this album. Joe Jackson, I'm the Man. I like his 78 through about 82. When he had his Night and Day album, which was my favorite album of his he ever put out. Let's see here. There we go. And then Billy Joel, Turnstiles. Greatest Hits, Volume 1 and 2. Man, this is loaded. A must-have here if you're a Billy Joel fan. Loaded. Yeah, he started out in the Hassles in 67, 68 with the Hassle self-titled and then Hour of the Wolf. And then in 69 he formed a group Attila with his buddy, and in 70 they released the self-titled album Attila. Just Billy Joel on treated acid organ and his buddy on drums. A real strange acid trip out. But here he's mellowing out, maturing in his adult contemporary songwriting. Yeah. Very popular musician, very talented guy. One I was missing from Elton John. The Fox. Love that old furniture on there. Look at that old TV. I forgot the name of those TVs. But yeah, they were, looks like a, I don't know, 50 Invicta? I don't know. They had a strange futuristic name. But yeah, you know, the mid to late 50s. They had some pretty wild television sets. The two songs on here that were standouts for me, and I wish the songs went a lot longer, was Carla Etude and Fanfare, back to back, which begins side 2. Ricky Lee Jones, Chucky's in Love, was her big hit from her first album. This is her follow-up album from 80, 81, I think. Casey and the Sunshine Band. A white guy that had a lot of soul, and I think most of the members of his group were black. Yeah, he had great music, and I loved his performances on the Soul Train. Yeah, very energetic trumpet players, you know, going back and forth, grooving to the music there. Chaka Khan. Yeah, love her stuff. The Kings are here. This is a great album. Years ago, I had heard these two songs that start off side A back to back on the radio for maybe several months and really liked them, but the DJ never gave the name of the group. And then I forgot about them. And when I heard this again, I was thinking, my gosh, finally, I never thought I'd hear these songs again. But the songs are The Beat Goes On and Switchin' to Glide. They segue one into the other without any silence, I think. So it's just like one song. Nice, long, great pop track there. Check it out. Kool and the Gang, Celebrate. Another great soul funk pop band. And then you know how Led Zeppelin, their In Through the Outdoor album, it's been a while. Now, did they, Rob in Boston, Panique's 1960, Rob, you would know this. You've got probably just about everything Led Zeppelin put out. How many of these various photo shots of the same bar was this album available in? Was there 4 or 5? 4 or maybe 6, possibly 6. Anyway, I think I've got all 4, 5, or 6 now. This is one I was missing. And all of them I have except one letter is missing the original bag. But I really like this concept. You know, the Police had, I think, 93 or 94 variations of their synchronicity. So this is what the A looks like, front and back. Let's see, get a close-up here so you can see. They would put the lettering there. Focus. There it is, A, right at the edge. Another thing that was cool about these, and one of my copies, actually the previous owner had taken a wet paintbrush and he had just applied water. You know, these were designed to when water hits it, all the different parts there light up in a pastel coloring. And then the other side there. So yeah, these do not have the coloring. And then I was actually missing John Lennon's and Yoko Ono's Double Fantasy, a great album that got a lot of airplay back in the day, shortly after he died. I think this was posthumous release, possibly. Kind of sketchy on the timeline there. I know it was December 8th, 80, somewhere around there. But yeah, great music there. And then his son, Julian, born early, I think spring of '63. Sounds and looks just like his dad. Good album there. He had the song Too Late for Goodbyes. Some more disco, Lips Incorporated, Pucker Up. Love the coloring on there. Very bright and flashy, disco-y. Yeah, cool stuff. Long songs. Kind of like Cerrone in Italy. He had a lot of long, epic disco tracks. Little River Band, a later one of theirs. They started out very progressive, a group from Australia. Yeah, It's a Long Way There. Fantastic song. On one of their, I think, debut albums. And then they moved into a little bit more upbeat, but they were generally kind of in that mainstream love songs and mellow rock. Yeah, that type of stuff. If you're into that. Kenny Loggins, you know, I'm Alright. I always think of the movie Caddyshack with Bill Murray and Rodney Dangerfield, and that they're golfer out on the golf golf course, always digging little trenches, and Bill Murray was trying to blow the thing up with dynamite. Madness, Our House, kind of a one-hit wonder for this band. Fun. Chuck Mangione, Feels So Good. Heavy radio play in the day. Nice jazzy pop. Plays the trumpet there, of course. And then his Fun and Games. And Dave Mason, he had that big hit, We Just Disagree. I'm Feeling All Right. A later one, I think in the early 80s by Manfred Mann. And then they kind of faded out after this album. I love all their output. Yeah, late 60s into about the late 70s was their best stuff. Even their 1981 or 80 album called Chance was not too bad. I always get a song on there confused with Shooting Stars' Last Chance. Manhattan Transfer, another band that got a lot of radio play back in the late 70s, early 80s. Great group, highly recommended. Marshall Tucker Band, another one. A lot of great radio tunes. Best of Dave Mason, good listen here. Michael McDonald, formerly of the Doobie Brothers. No, I think he joined the Doobie Brothers later, about 79, and then he went solo after that. If I'm thinking correctly, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, the timelines get kind of skewed as the years pass. Now here's a real sweet gal. She had a lot of really kind of an innocent type of folk pop. Yeah, great songwriter. She was just full of ideas and songs, and she just put out a whole bunch of music from about 1969 to 72, 73. Just one after another after another. Yeah. Real nice voice here. Some of her albums had novelty covers. One album I have folds into this huge box. You know, three-dimensional, you know, novelty. Here's the early Steve Miller Band. Yeah, Steve was referring to that other Steve Miller Band, which I agree with you, Steve. Didn't care for their later stuff. I'm into the early Steve Miller Band, the psychedelic. Yeah, Children of the Future, Sailor, Brave New World. I like their stuff up to about 77. And you know, Fly Like an Eagle. Here is the other Steve Miller, Circle of Love. And then Abracadabra. Wasn't too crazy about that radio hit, but there's some songs, you know, within these albums that are quite progressive. Very nice. So it's worth owning them. And then the Moody Blues. One, perhaps the last and only one I was missing by the Moody Blues. I did also find they're Caught Live at 5, I think. These two are the only ones I was missing by them. Every time I'd see them, they always had horrific ring wear, or they were just trashed. So these, you know, play real nice. Love the Moody Blues. Must, you know, check them out. Naked Eyes, their self-titled album debut there. And then they had another one that followed up after that. But both were great, but the first was best. A 10 all the way through. Synth pop, new wave. Fantastic. Fantastic. Very few of those new wave 80s albums I would consider 10s. Where Simple Minds' New Gold Dream is another 10 all the way through. Yeah. New England. Good band here, all the way through. Really enjoyed this one. This one kind of missed, you know, my radar back in the day. Randy Newman, Short People was his big hit. Yeah, Little Criminals here. A few more radio hits on there. And then I was especially happy to get this. Now I had Pleasure Principle. I got it ages ago. And wore it a little bit. It had a lot of ring wear, so now I've got it regained back to its original state on the same label. The Pleasure Principle with his big hit Cars. Love his stuff. Yeah, this is right after when he left the Tubeway Army, 78, 79. Down in the Park, Our Friends Electric. Yeah, great stuff. And then another good one here. And his follow-up, Telecon. If I'll just, these are just in pristine shape. Look at that. Just stoked to get these in such good shape too. I'm glad my friend kept these sleeves on them. Dance. Real cool, stylish cover there. Love the, you know, the purple in there. There we go. Very stylish pose there. And then I, Assassin. And then Orleans. Orleans was a kind of a southern rock tinged band that played on the mellower side. A lot of acoustic here, great vocals. In the same league as Poco, Pure Prairie League, Ingle and Dan and John Ford Coley, Tim Weisberg, that type of stuff. Chris Ray, yeah. Even maybe a little Ambrosia and Marshall Tucker Band. Orleans had the big hit Dance With Me. Yeah, check out Dance With Me and you'll get a feel for their sound. Also a great song, an earlier song by them from about '73 that I loved, and it's just perfect for us music lovers. Let There Be Music. Check out Let There Be Music. And then back in the late '70s, early '80s, when the pinball games were replaced by the electronic video arcades and the video games, this is for novelty exclusively, Pac-Man Fever by Buckner and Garcia. My friend and I went to Bannister Mall years ago before the place fell into disrepair, and eventually they bulldozed it down. But we went in there one day, and I think he spent 63 or 65 bucks on video games. He was a video fanatic. Here's one I was missing by Alan Parsons Project. You notice all their albums, Alan Parsons and Eric Wolfson, they always had themes or concepts with each, successive album. Usually, on a theme of the hidden knowledge, with all the pictures and the song titles and the lyrics. Here's Stereotomy. This one I wasn't as crazy about, but then Gowdy came out, and that one, I really loved. And Try Anything Once or something like that from '93 when they was away for a long time and then came back. That one isn't too bad. But yeah, up to about '86 or '87 is my prime favorites by Alan Parsons, especially his first 3 albums. If you want to get into Alan Parsons Project, check out Tales of Mystery and Imagination by Edgar Allan Poe and I, Robot and Pyramid. Eve followed, and it's also very good, but the first 3 are my favorites. They started out very progressive and then kind of proto-prog, kind of hit and miss. Bet you didn't know Pink Floyd had real beautiful dance music. Yes, a great collection of dance songs. Yeah, here they go dance. Wonderful, wonderful, mellow stuff here. Roger Waters' solo album, basically. A bump-up copy without the ringware. Yeah, I just gave this a recent listen. I was talking to Gary, Cosmic Pickle, and he really likes this album, and so I gave it another fair listen, and it went up in my likes, in my preference of all their other stuff, so I bumped it up on my 20 favorite Pink Floyd albums after a recent listen. Player was another group. Baby Come Back, big hit for them. And then here's some Poco, more kind of southern tinged, mellow rock. That was a good album there. Indian Summer was a great song. A Crazy Love, beautiful song. Heart of the Night, Legend. Yeah. Great, great band. Highly recommended. Queen, The Game. Another one, Bites the Dust. Crazy Little Thing Called Love were the big hits on this one. The Works. This one here had Radio Gaga, great video, using the old, they made the video look like the old Fritz Lang movie Metropolis from 26. So yeah, very, very cool video they did there. And then Died Too Young, Way Too Young, Eddie Rabbitt, country pop here. Good music. I saw them several times in concert, his band. And then his Greatest Hits Volume 2. I Love a Rainy Night, Driving My Life Away, Step by Step, You and I. Someone Could Lose a Heart Tonight. Gone Too Far. Those were the big radio hits, I remember. Lionel Richie. Lots of hits. Linda Ronstadt. A lot of hits for her too back in the day. Yeah, you always heard her and Kenny Rogers, The Gambler, and see, what songs are on here? It's So Easy, Hurt So Bad, Blue Bayou, Ooh Baby Baby, Poor Poor Pitiful Me, Tumbling Dice, Just One Look were the big radio hits on that one. And then, what was it? Something Anything, I think, 72 by Todd Rundgren. I really loved that album. And then Initiation was another favorite. And then when his first 74 release, when he formed his Utopia, that was a fantastic album. Check out those three if you're getting into Todd Rundgren. This one here had his big radio hit, Hideaway. Yeah. A genius, multi-instrumentalist, played all the instruments in his own home studio for all his albums. A one-man music making machine here. Patrice Rushen, straight from the heart. Her big hit was Forget-Me-Nots on this one here. And then two later ones by Santana. And Z-Bop. I like most of their earlier stuff, of course. And then I've got some from that Moonflower phase, that mid-70s, about up to 77. And then these. So I'm missing some of the 70s and some of the quite a bit of the 80s. Leo Sayer from the UK. Man, did he have a lot of lots and lots of radio play, lots of great music. These are later albums by him that I had never heard, and I don't recall when I sampled these three albums all the way through hearing any songs from, you know, them. So I was very surprised. He just, you know, as he moved from album to album, these three albums here are very good listens. Very melodic, good songwriter, good singer. I was very surprised by how good these are. You May Hate 'Em. There's the two twin towers, World Trade Centers there. Yeah, there's a lot of albums out there now that have the World Trade Centers on them, frozen in time. I remember the one tower, people think they were the same height. They were both 110 stories, but one tower was 6 feet to the roof, shorter than the other. I think 1,362 feet, 1,368 feet for the other tower. Boz Scaggs, classic. Get this. This 79, I think, or 80. This has his two big radio hits, Low Down, which is probably my favorite pop song of 79. Period. I love that song. And then Lido Shuffle. But yeah, good album all the way through. Great, great album. And Simon and Garfunkel. Wow, what a duo there. Great folk pop music, great singing, acoustic guitars, classic. In concert in Central Park, September 19th of 81. Great listen. Great crowd interaction. Great nostalgia on there in their get together. Classic one, all of Paul Simon's greatest hits. Slip Sliding Away, Still Crazy After All These Years, Me and Julio Down by the Schoolyard, Kodachrome, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover, Mother and Child Reunion, Loves Me Like a Rock, and then a bunch of others, but those were his big hits off that one. For my audience out there, my overseas audience that might not be familiar with these American bands, that's why I'm including whatever I can remember about these for you people. I appreciate your subscriptions. Thank you. What's on here? Don't recognize any on this one. This is too new. And then Patrick Simmons Arcade. I wasn't familiar with this one too, but I liked it, so decided to keep it. I think this is kind of in that new age area where the American music was getting a little jazzy and new agey, but still had that pop. The Split Ends from Australia, I Got You, was their big hit off this one. This album came with a laser etched vinyl, and came, depending on where it was released, what country, what series, I don't know, but the colors changed on the outside here. The little geometric shapes stayed the same, but the colors changed. And I have another one, and it's kind of in the purples, pinks, and whites, I think. So, yeah. There we go. Very, very cool there. All those geometric patterns. Very 80s. The clothing, the pop art, the graffiti of the time, products that you bought had all these, very 80s geometric shapes on them. So yeah, very cool. I think Styx had an album that had the, laser etched art on there, and other bands. So we'll end this one here, 38 minutes, 39, that's long enough. Okay, see you later on the next one. Take care, everybody.